Care, custody, and control. It is the essential mission of Harris County in regard to those incarcerated in the nation's third largest jail. And yet, in what is being labeled an epic systemic failure, 19-year-old intellectually challenged inmate Fred Harris was stabbed and beaten brain dead by a fellow inmate nearly 2.5 times his size.
240 pounds with a knife, extremely violent, 98 pounds, special needs.
After his arrest for brandishing a knife at a group home for folks with special needs, Fred's mother was assured the welfare of her son with an IQ of 62 would be protected.
What's up, everybody? It's the Faces caseworker. What are your kids doing when you're not around? All right, we coming back with another one. It's tragic story. A 19-year-old with a learning disability who was an inmate at Harris County Jail in Texas died after being brutally attacked by another inmate. All right, he was brutally beaten by a 240-pound inmate. Now, this kid was only 98 pounds and a special needs individual, all right, who was turned 19 not too long ago and was in a cell with a 240-pound male and was beaten violently and stabbed multiple times with a prison weapon. All right. That's really only stabbed. He was bashed. His head was bashed on a concrete floor. His head kicked, and he was stabbed with a sharpened eating utensil. All right. Now, people question as why was the kid with a learning disability, a teenager, inside of a prison in the first place? Why wasn't court system have some different type of setup for people with learning disabilities or developmental disabilities? All right. Now, a person with a learning disability would have a hard time functioning and following the rules inside of a prison because there are rules. When a person goes to jail, they do hand them a pamphlet. They must read them, not break the rules. They must follow all orders in order to not get in extra trouble in the prison. But you have somebody with a learning disability, excuse me, who probably has problems memorizing with memory. A lot of developmental disorders revolve around holding memory. So if a person is inside of a cell with a very violent 240-pound-year-old, and we all know prison has its own hidden rules, all right, he's going to have a hard time following prison rules. And it seems like he had a very nice family, so I doubt he was involved in the streets. Apparently, the young teen was arrested due to a weapon that he brandished on an individual at a group home for developmental disorders. All right, now while he was living at a developmental disorder facility, don't know why his parents put him there. Obviously, there's more information to be held, but possibly he had, he acted out, and maybe he wasn't able to be controlled at home, so he was put in the program. And it was a group home. It didn't say day program or schooling. It said group home. So clearly, Mr. Harris was living inside of this facility, and he pulled a knife on someone. So clearly, he needed help himself. And the courts in Dallas decided that this 19-year-old needed to be put inside of a prison, not inside of some mental place. Because once again, developmental disorders is not necessarily a mental illness. It's something that should be treated from childhood to ensure that the individual suffering from this developmental disorder can live a functioning life. Now, we can question why they put him in a prison. That's a whole other story. All right, maybe Texas doesn't have the setup in their system to be able to handle people with disorders, and let's opt to put them in prison. But that's been a question that's been going on for a long time in society, right? So what do you guys think? You think they should be putting people with mental illnesses or developmental disorders inside of a prison? Apparently somebody felt that it was okay. So clearly the parents are upset that their teenage child was murdered inside of a prison. As we all know, we've seen it on TV, we've heard stories that prisons are pretty violent. and they have to protect those who can't defend themselves. Clearly, we've seen that correctional officers have failed numerous times over and over again to protect the individuals inside of the jail. Now, the correctional officers are not just there to keep the jail going, they're also there to protect each and every individual um, person who is being detained until they can get their right to court and they can defend their freedom. All right. Everyone is innocent until proven guilty. So just because someone is charged with something is just an assumption. The court will determine whether the evidence and information is enough to hold the person. All right. Apparently, I don't know if the kid had bail, brandishing a knife. He didn't stab anybody, so I doubt that his bail was that high. He was arrested in October. This is November 4th, so he wasn't in jail that long. But the question is, why would they put someone with a developmental disability in the cell with a violent individual? I guess they classified him because he had a knife situation, and the other individual who beat him to death and stabbed him was also there for assaulting a public figure. Apparently, the guy faced charges of aggravated assault resulting in serious bodily injury. He had other charges: an assault on a public servant, continuous violence against a family, and evading arrest. So this guy clearly had problems, and they put a 19-year-old with no. I'm assuming he doesn't have a criminal record in the cell with him. I don't think that was a smart thing to do, Dallas. I can't even blame the parents on this one. Uh, but the parents could have been a little bit more in tune with what their kid was going through at the facility. Just because you put your child in a group home, you still have to monitor your child if you care about them. Obviously, now they want to cry, they want to put lawsuits out, but we need to, I don't know what age of intervention uh, Mr. Harris received before, as a child, to prevent any problems and to help him become a better individual, even though he suffers from developmental disabilities. Just because you have a disorder or a developmental disability or intellectual disability doesn't make you less than any other person, right? We all are Americans, all citizens of the United States, citizens of the planet, citizens of the universe, and we have to treat people well. We have to look out for each other. That's simple as that, man. Uh, but what do you guys think, man? Should they be putting individuals with special needs inside of a prison? Special needs require special needs even inside of a prison facility. All right. I know that they have mental health wards and cell blocks and things like that. So I don't know what Harris County Jail is doing. They need to implement, if they don't, a mental health facility, a place where people with intellectual disabilities and developmental disabilities can be inside the prison away from those who are normal and can take advantage of those individuals. We need to protect. All right. There ain't just a mother that needs to protect. When you're in the custody of in the custody of the law, they are sworn by the law and to protect you from danger. We know what happens in jails and they can't see everything. But somebody with a learning disability or special needs individual should not be around those who can take advantage of them, uh, and use them and abuse them. All right. This should have been handled differently, and the individual, Michael Ownby, should have been in a cell by himself. All right. If he's that swift to go sharpen an eating utensil, clearly this guy has issues. Why he's worrying about stabbing a 19-year-old who has a disability, I have no idea. All right. This doesn't make any sense. Really, really terrible story. All right, it's the Faces caseworker, everybody. People like this, we need to do better in society. All right, this is why we have caseworkers. We're here to change the world. All right. If anybody else, if you like this story and you want to hear more, please hit the like button, subscribe. All right, this is terrible. We need to do more in society to protect the vulnerable populations. All right, my name is the Faces caseworker. What are your kids doing? We are not around. Goodbye until the next time.